Okay, let's see some of the case studies now. Okay, so created a lot of traffic and people were estimating, okay, this has caused this much of loss in the business. All right, so here on to the left you see this is a satellite imagery. Okay, on to your right you see is the basically the location information of that ship. Right now there are different systems in which they give out the data. See, you're not short of data now, right? Every data, every movement of your ship, every movement of these all hundred of ships which are there is being captured. Just someone just puts it on. See, you're able to analyze it. Okay, how long they are in, what is the stop duration, what is their movement. Okay, if they stop for this long, how long will your shipment be delayed to reach its destination. Okay, and what is the density. Okay, maybe do they have to detour and go, either it's more economical that way, or is it able to, at least if it's costly, it is helping them reach their destination. And maybe it's a perishable good, or maybe say, carrying some live animals, or anything, it could be anything. It helps you make a wise decision based on the various data you have, right? Because see, the same thing, suppose if it was in an Excel, it would really make no sense to us. Okay, right? If you just, the moment you put it on here, query, and you get a plot out of it, all right, you are seeing, able to see this. Okay, what is the stop and start duration here, and has it been consistent, or is there a more movement of only a specific queue, or is it a different, it helps them understand, right? So this if you see, to reach to this stage, GIS were in 1968 when it was first termed as GIS, and you see today they're able to query and get data of anything, because you're having large data sets of information specifically related to location, right? If you do not have your location specific and you add time to it, if you you are having the data, that is why you're able to query it, right? Okay, every hour, every minute to minute, if you're having a data, it lets you take a more wiser decision, right? So this is one of the case studies. So this is an application and where you put it to logistics, right? Now let's see in terms of biodiversity. All right, so these black bug gulls are migratory, right? So what did one of biodiversity specialists do? So he put a tracker tag to one of the bird. All right, then he just left it. So then once it has reached to another endpoint, he started pulling the data. What was its travel intervals? Did it take many pauses? And then maybe he must, maybe they, it helps them do a little more research, right? Okay, how long is it migrating another location? Is it because of a temperature maybe favorable to it that it is able to stay? It could have taken a path directly straight, right? But it went along the coast. But again, that didn't go through Barcelona, right? It took a different path while going, and it took a different path while again coming back. So maybe they're trying to understand pattern. So this is a small example if you see for in terms of a biodiversity. So that is what, see, where is biodiversity and where is GIS, right? So you are able to see multiple applications of GIS in whatever way you want to. This is another example. Frankly, these are images of our own India, right? So this is how the current government, through various new schemes, like there's a new scheme called Amrut. You must have heard the word smart cities. So to make a city smart, first thing you need to understand what is the existing situation. So that is where you build a vast database of what all existing is there, right? If you see, this map is only a land use map. Okay, this is telling you the urban sprawl. Maybe this map was done maybe in 2015. So now 10 years later, suppose you want to plan for the city, do a master planning for the city, right? So you will, since you've already mapped in 2015, you know, okay, 10 after 10 years, if you map it, you know, this is the growth, right? It lets you create an archive of data of at today, so that it helps you understand and make a wise decision in the future. This is one of another application of GIS, right? Okay, now this is different road networks passing through maybe letting you reach Ahmedabad on only to the main roads, right? Same thing. This is a water body. This is where I was saying. To see to your right, this is the drainage system of the river, or uh, the pattern it is taking entering into the city, right? So you cannot obstruct the paths, because ultimately it has to reach out also, because there are people dependent on to the downstream side too. Okay, so now GIS uh, is a two dimensional, also three dimensional. Now you have a four dimensional also, right? To all your data, suppose you're just adding your height information, right? This is where you get your building heights, lets you understand, okay, which maybe suppose we are in the future, maybe, yeah, suppose there is a drone delivery system, okay, maybe they'll have a no fly zones. How do they know? They build all this information into GIS, and maybe, yeah, you just use a little more graphic HTML or something JavaScripting, and then you just give it a your build a polygon based on your Z value. That's it. You get a three-dimensional information, right? And then to this, if you add time, you want to see that what is which buildings are more active, which buildings let you which are open, right? And in which floor it is. Suppose you want to go to a maybe a commercial property, and suppose it's on a 50th floor, and you know that the building is only function of certain time, right? So you don't want to obviously take stairs, and you know that it's not functional for that time, right? So it lets you understand the different maybe your problems and get a solution to it, right? GIS is more evident in planning, because that is the only way you can maybe bring a lot of data, and if you see, until you see it all together in one piece as a thematic map, you'll not able to make decisions, because all your decisions have to be concurrent. They have to be dependent on various parameters: water body, existing settlements, and existing roads, right? All right, now coming to the evolution of GIS, right? So from where in 600 BC and where now in 2021 you are. Okay, so in 1968, GIS term was first coined. In 1969, in Canada GIS, they first started the ArcGIS, right? ArcGIS is now a pioneer in all across this world. He is the only, maybe I think the largest software, proprietary software provider for GIS. And then slowly in 1917, they started bringing the GIS system, linking it, and started digitizing things and then visualizing it. So earlier there was no linkage of any database. So it was more like a cartographic application, right? And then they linked database to it. So the moment you put, so it took around, see, 10 years here, 10 years to link to the visualization a database, and then generate various different analysis and understand. See, it took 10 years, and then finally you are now at a spatial models. I'll tell you a beautiful example. Suppose if you are constructing a port, so you are abstracting, you need to see that the coastline, what are the changes which happen if you are constructing a barrier somewhere, right? It will let you know. There are very good mathematical models which let you know what is the shoreline change, how much will be the siltation, okay, where do you need to build your groins so that there is no siltation there, and maybe how, on which extent of the shore there'll be more siltation. So that's just a simple example. There are hundreds of statistical models also, different population growths, and why density growths, maybe reasons for why there is migration more. Yeah, this was a true analysis actually. In 2001 census data and 2011 census data, there's been a major shift in uh, population on the people who are working in farms, right? And the number of farmer count has come down. So they started analyzing it, right? And once they started analyzing, they identified that there are a lot of people moved from farming to turn into agriculture laborers. So that is due to various financial reasons. maybe because of severe loss, continuous loss due to bad weather, right? And then surprisingly, they started mapping the whole thing, and they started seeing that the growth of population in the cities has increased and those in the villages has come down. So what might be the relation to it? People have not died, so they have migrated. So what might be the reason? That is where it helped many of the economists to understand that agriculture is no more a profession, considered as a profession. This is the tandem shift in people into a different sectors, also the various financial implications, making them someone who is a farmer, who's a rich man, is turned into a farm labor, right? So it helps you understand various social economic scenarios. There are many models like these. And now coming to 2010 and 2020, now you have our drones, where it captures data. You no more have to be dependent on your satellites, right? It gets you a lot of data readily, quickly, and irrespective of you need to worry that there is a cloud cover, right? Because you're going to fly at a low level, plan all your flight paths, get your data, right? If you see here, this is a lidar, airborne lidar concept, where it captures data, it sends a pulse, gets back difference in time and intensity, lets you map. Lidar data is the current buzz for GIS, because it's able to give you more accurate data. Like, see, if you just want to apply the application of lidar onto utilities, if you just do a mobile lidar survey, and see here, you are able to see the sag in the electrical lines, right? You're able to see the sag. So it helps you understand the risk, and is it eligible for you to have the transmission line come that low. So that is the accuracy lidar is going to give. The same application is now put into automobiles also. You see most of your autonomous vehicles which they're driving right now, they're able to send a pulse, get back the data, see whether it's an object which it might understand the distance, and see it has to stop or take a diversion. So uh, so that is the evolution of various data acquisition sources for GIS. Ultimately, all your data is put onto some software and queried, and a logical output is brought. So remote sensing is tied up to GIS, because GIS gets all its data from someone has to feed it. Okay, now coming to the career path, job opportunities, right? So anything, suppose you're suppose you're studying your bachelor's, right? And then you might be having a paper on GIS probably. Most of the colleges have now put, and there is also a lab associated to it. I'm not sure how many colleges are still following it, but they might have already helped you get a good knowledge about GIS. But I think I have tried to show you more applications of it, right? If you just Google, as I said, yeah, thousands of applications, you would be even surprised to know, okay, even GIS is applied to this. So recently, just 2 months back, Government of India has made a very revolutionary, brought out the policy. So it has given more support to the geospatial industry, wherein the market is very happy. They want, they are expecting it to be like turn three folds in 2026. In just 6 years, they are expecting it to go to 2,900 crores. This is the estimation they are saying, because nowadays it's applied everywhere. You see your cars. Earlier you wouldn't get all the data, right? You may not get a map which you have. There is more restriction because of various security reasons, right? Defense issues, multiple, right? Okay, so the growth as estimated through some allied market research, which I have hands on, they are saying that there is more in transportation logistics sector. This is obviously understood. You have now different delivery applications, right? You have Swiggy, you have Zomato. How do they are ultimately logistic. people, right? Your Amazon, your Flipkart, all the e-commerce is are only dependent on logistics, because ultimately they bring uh, your item from one point to from the buyer onto you. I mean, sorry, seller to you. So that is the growth seen. Now coming to how you can get into the industry. So if you are studying your bachelor's, and after your bachelor's, you can maybe, yeah, it might be little tough to get into the industry, because it may be very easy job on, you may be doing only digitizing or something. Or else if you directly want to get into GIS, it's better if you're in your third year, or if you're just finishing your fourth year or to the end, start looking onto some of your application development side, right? See, basic GIS building block, maybe a month or two you can do. After that it becomes, maybe you might not find it more challenging. Okay, there might be different areas in which you will be working, but the actual, you'll be getting more fun the more you analyze the data. So for that, it's always suggested to know one software language and one database system. If you see, most of the database systems right now associated to GIS are working on SQL. So it's always advisable to have understand SQL. And then now Python, the buzz, it's all the applications I'm telling you, ArcGIS, QGIS, all of them are now built on Python. Python, and everyone as says, it's easiest language known to us. And I think everyone, if you want to get into GIS industry and go in towards the development side on build many applications, then it's always, I advise you to know two of these. I have shown you the example of that Suez Canal blockage, how they did, right? So that is actually a much more improved version of Panda software. Pandas is again GIS, sorry, Python built query system, and someone has improvised it, applied it, and then they made it movement pandas. So what you have seen, that example is from movement pandas. You can just Google it, you'll find a lot of information on that. Okay, now coming to, suppose you want to get into your masters, right? Apart from structural engineering and geotechnical engineering, the rest of your GI master specializations, they all have GIS applications. You see hydrology, you have GIS. You see urban planning, you'll have GIS. You see transportation, of course GIS. You see environment engineering, you will have GIS. To all of these sectors, GIS is the basic tool. To how a structural engineer is dependent on AutoCAD, all of the rest of this specializations are dependent on GIS. So that is the maybe, yeah, you can maybe build a house in AutoCAD, but you can build a whole country in GIS. I strongly believe this because I've seen in my all my experience, I've seen a lot of planning for very various cities and huge amount of data. So these are some of the career opportunities. So I think maybe it will help you understand. Maybe I can take some of your queries. Okay, and now, yeah, I think I should also highlight some of the hot cake sectors in, again, GIS in the job market. You see, utilities is majority of it, maybe around 60% of the job opportunities are on utility, specifically in India. In India, India is a capital for GIS, and in that you will have most of the jobs on utility sector only. And then next is transportation. Transportation is the next big sector which has more applications of this. So again, you may have more sub maybe what should I say, subsectors. Like, see, some people may be only focusing on remote sensing data, right? Because that actually, that is your major chunk, right? You process all your remote sensing data, and then only you pass it to the GIS to query and find some solutions. So that is where maybe to you, I have given you the whole picture, but there are many components in which you can find your interest, and maybe you will be more happy and satisfied to do that specific task or work. So two main things is utility and transportation. and the rest of them are now a lot picking. Like, see, again, transportation here, I mean, actually is logistics also is the next big thing, right? And there are multiple applications again in that, right? I think that's it from my end. Hope I could try to get you understand about GIS, its applications, maybe give you a good understanding. Okay, thank you.